And good evening everybody, how are we all doing? So I did say that I was going to do a video today. Couple of interesting news announcements have surfaced earlier today, pretty much all to do with the Warner Brothers DC Comics front. Obviously with the back end of the huge success, not surprisingly, of the Avengers, which has now grossed third highest of all time throughout the entire world. Warner Brothers appear to now, have realised the magnitude of what Marvel have achieved over the past four or 5 years, and are now, looking at them and thinking, shit, we could have done this ages ago. Yes, DC, you could have. This could have been your gig. It could have been yours. It could have been you sitting at the forefront right now. You've got characters like Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman who are older than Spider-Man, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, all of them. Superman being created way back in 1938, then Batman a year later, and these are characters that have really cemented their popularity in the comics universe, and yet you can't seem to want to bring them all together into one universe, because you failed with Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Then you brought out Superman Returns. Still, it wasn't too bad, but it could have been better. And then you decided, right, we'll reboot Batman completely, and we're going to give it all to Christopher Nolan. Not a bad idea, but allowing him to take the reins and then saying that Batman was going to be in his own universe was a big mistake. Okay, so then there was the release of a certain Green Lantern last year. We'll bypass that completely, and then next year we've obviously got Superman, Man of Steel. Now, as I say, news has emerged today that Warner Brothers have approached a writer by the name of Will Beall, who's coming up with a couple of interesting movies. One known as there's a Gangster Squad, and he's even helped write a couple of other movies as well that as yet are not released. And I think one of them is the remake of Logan's Run. Now, what is interesting is that this is the guy that Warner's have approached to draft the script for Justice League movie. I've never even heard of this guy before. I have no idea who he is and what his potential is either. So here's a couple of projects that he's doing that haven't been released yet, so we don't know what he's actually like. Warner Brothers seem to have faith in him, and obviously the talk of this Justice League movie, the way that I see it, and I've said this a lot, especially on Twitter, you've got Man of Steel coming out next year, because we know Dark Knight Rises is out next month, and that's pretty much going to be the final curtain on Nolan's Batman universe, okay? And Warner's are saying that they want to reboot Batman to obviously introduce the Justice League. Now, Man of Steel, which is out this time next year, just over a week away next year, has the potential to be the platform of the Justice League. Okay, we're going to disregard Lobo, because I know that Warner's have touted that they want to do a Lobo movie, but let's disregard that for the time being. Superman is the perfect example, Man of Steel rather, is the perfect example to start off your Justice League campaign. Okay, you can have him taking on Zod and whatever, Feora and a couple of other villains, maybe, if they're small time villains kind of thing, but then towards the end or somewhere in the film, some sort of hint, a cameo, whatever, of a Justice League introduction. You could have a detective could just come up at the end, calling himself John Jones, and that, when you hear those two words, John Jones, you automatically will think of Martian Manhunter. And I think he is the perfect source to start the introduction of the cementing together of the Justice League team, because he could be like the guy that brings them together in a Nick Fury kind of way. Obviously not in a not with a badass type of Nick Fury that Samuel L. Jackson has portrayed recently, but he could be the detective, saying that he's in Metropolis and he's heard of such and such has been going on and would like to enlist the help of Clark Kent as a journalist kind of thing. So anything like that, and then you can work on to, say, the Flash. Then you can move on to Wonder Woman. Okay, now let's quickly sidestep onto Wonder Woman. Again, the second news that DC Warners have come out with is that the same guy, this is interesting, right? The same guy who wrote the script for Green Lantern is now going to write, or has been approached to write, the script for Wonder Woman, for the movie. And the first thing we all thought was, why? Did you see what happened to Green Lantern last year? It failed miserably. Have you not learned your lesson? But clearly you haven't, because that's why you've hired him again. So again, you know, what's happened to Joss Whedon's script for Wonder Woman? Why can't we reopen that, dust it off, give it to Joss and say, dude, off you go? You know, then you can reintroduce Batman, reintroduce Green Lantern, bring in Aquaman, and then Martian Manhunter, obviously as a centerpiece for bringing them all together. You know, there's so many ways that Warner's can approach this, but they just haven't got the execution. They haven't got the right creative execution to really allow the Justice League team to work on the big screen. Okay, you know, I've seen tweets from people who are saying that it's, you know, this should have been their gig 10 years ago. 10 years ago, this is what they should have done. And their biggest mistake was allowing Nolan to keep Batman in his own universe. You know, not disregarding what Nolan has done so far, and you know, he's done really well for Batman. But now, once Dark Knight Rises is finished, they're now thinking, right, okay, Avengers have done so well, Marvel have really, you know, hit the ball into the park, and they know exactly what we're doing. Why didn't we do this? Well, you've had umpteen amount of times. Now what's going to happen is, if and when you do eventually get a Justice League movie going, people are now going to think that you're copying Marvel. Okay, Warner's, DC has been around since 1935, if not earlier, and you have not allowed them, or you haven't given them that push to, you know, you focus too much on Superman and Batman when there's so many more characters than just those two. You know, you've got Wonder Woman, you've got Flash, for heaven's sake, he could be DC's version of Iron Man. You know, they could do a film on Flash, and then again, he could be like they could use the Flash, they could utilize the Flash as much as possible, but they just, I don't know what their problem is. But like I say, for me personally, I think Man of Steel should be the starting point, and then you work on from there. Okay, you then go on to like either Flash or even Wonder Woman. But like I say, have a character like John Jones, Martian Manhunter, be in the background, working with them without them even realizing that he's there, or he could approach them in some sort of manner and not reveal who he actually is till like the Justice League movie or something. You know, us DC hardcore fans will know who John Jones is, but non-comic book fans will have no idea who he is. They'll be thinking, why is he in every movie? He could be the Agent Coulson or the Nick Fury of the Justice League. You know, just there's so many ideas. You just need to get the right people. And to be fair, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to say it right now, that I think Jeff Johns should really be on board, because that guy knows the characters. He knows Superman, he's written Green Lantern, he's written The Flash. For heaven's sake, the guy knows these characters pretty well. He's even writing Aquaman in the current DC New 52 run. The guy knows these characters, okay? And he's reinvented a couple of them, especially Green Lantern and Flash. And if you need anyone on your creative team to really bring the Justice League to form on the big screen, you're going to have Jeff Johns in, and he's got to have a lot of creative input. I mean, why hire the guy for your DC Entertainment division and not allow him to actually branch out into the movie section? Yes, he's slightly helped out with Green Lantern, but again, he didn't really have that much control, and I think he needs to have that control. I know he's got a lot on his plate, don't get me wrong. Jeff Johns is working loads at the moment, but he could be the Bruce Timm of the silver screen, the big screen for DC, as to what Bruce Timm is for the animated section. You know, we've all seen the animated movies that DC have produced, and they've been amazing. You know, all they need is the right people, the right actors, the right crew, writers, creative people. Just get it out there, because Marvel are putting out all the stuff. We've got Iron Man 3 has already started shooting, you know, and that worries me. Between now and 2014, they're going to bring out Iron Man 3, Captain America 2, Thor 2, and then after that they'll start going towards the Avengers 2, and then maybe a solo Black Widow or Hawkeye, or even some sort of S.H.I.E.L.D. related movie before, you know, the next Avengers outing. So I don't know. It's interesting that Warners have now realised that they've cocked up, but at the same time they should have done this years ago. Is it a case of too little too late? In a way, yes, because now people are going to be thinking DC are now copying Marvel. I mean, at the end of the Avengers, after the first section of the credits, there was that evil guy known as Thanos who appeared. Now, I had no idea who he was until people told me who he was. They said he's Marvel's equivalent to Darkseid, and I was like, so pretty much Marvel copied DC by creating this guy who's just like Darkseid, because Darkseid was created by, if you remember, by Jack Kirby in 1970, and it wasn't about 3 or 4 years later that Marvel brought in Thanos, their version of Darkseid. So while people have watched the Avengers and thinking, oh, Thanos, he's like some big type, badass, evil dude, when Darkseid, if and when Darkseid decides to make an appearance, people are going to think, wait there, isn't he a rip-off of Thanos? Actually, no, it's the other way around, because Jack Kirby was the guy who created Darkseid and the new gods of New Genesis and Apocalypse as well. So there's a bit of history for you. So any Marvel fans out there who are thinking, oh yeah, Marvel rules, yes, they're doing great, don't get me wrong, but just remember, Marvel would not exist if it wasn't for DC. Both companies coexist because of each other. You can't have one without the other. So while I'm hearing a lot of Marvel fanboys are slating DC, well, I'm not the type of DC fanboy to slate Marvel, because I'm in awe of what Marvel have achieved, and what they have achieved is phenomenal. They have done so well in bringing the Avengers together and collating all their characters in one universe, and then they're going to look to expand a bit further. And this is what we're asking of Warners. You know, stop being so protective of your big two in particular, and get out there, get these other characters out there, get them re-established with the public. You know, I know people who want to see a Wonder Woman movie, people who want to see a Flash movie. I know people who are Green Lantern fans and would like to see another very decent Green Lantern movie. You know, so I'm sorry to ramble on, but you know what I'm like. I get so passionate about this, and it worries me that now that Warners are bringing out these news, you know, I'm still not convinced. I'm not going to be 100% convinced until I see a trailer between now and say 2012, between now and 2014, or as far back as 2015. If there's no trailer between now and say 2014, sorry Warners, you haven't really stuck to your guns. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure as more news trickles, we'll be hearing a bit more about their developments. On another side note, what I will say is I'm hoping between now and end of July we're going to get a lot of Man of S.H.I.E.L.D. exposure. Nothing too spoilery. I don't want a lot of spoilery stuff. You know, I want a teaser trailer, posters, you know, some pictures that don't give away the plot and stuff like that. Just anything right now, because I'm starting to get a bit sick and tired of not hearing about it anyway. So anyway, let me know what you thought. I do apologise for the length of this video, but hey, it's me. So, and I shall speak to you all later. Bye.